Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Dr. Mangesh Dushin and this is the fifth lecture of UV visible spectroscopy. In last lecture we have seen Woodward-Pfizer rules for the dyeing system and we have solved some problems. Now in this lecture we will learn Woodward-Pfizer rules for the Enon system and we will solve some problems by using these Woodward-Pfizer rules. Friends, before learning the Woodward-Pfizer rules for the enons, we will understand what is enon actually. So this is a enon, alpha beta unsaturated ketones. Here G, it may be R or maybe H. If that is H, then that is called as aldehyde. And if that is R, it is called as ketone. So in this case, so this is the enon system, one carbonyl and one alpha beta unsaturated alkene. This is the extended double bond, extra double bond. So now if substituents are there, now substituents positions are different. This is alpha to the carbonyl group, second position is beta, third position is gamma, fourth position is delta. Furthermore, the substituents we can consider as a delta only. So the important thing is first carbon alpha, second is beta, third one is gamma and fourth one is delta. So this is how the enon system is there. Then we will see the Woodward-Pfizer rules for calculating the lambda value, lambda max for the enon system. If enon is acyclic enon or 6-membered ring, then the base value is similar like diene, that is 215 nanometer. If the 5-membered ring is there, 5-membered ring ketone is there, enon is there, then the base value is 202 nanometer. This is the difference over here. In case of alkene, there is no problem. In case of diene, there was no problem. But in this case, we have to remember the acyclic enon is there, then you have to take the base value lambda. Base value of the wavelength is 215 nanometer. While if 5-membered parent ring enon is there, then the base value will get changed, that you have to take 202 nanometer. For the basic lambda max for aldehydes, if G is equal to H, this is for the ketones. If G is equal to H aldehyde, then base value we should take as a 207 nanometer. So this is about the base value for the BSc levels. Now we will see the additions. If the substituents are there, if some components which are present into the molecules, then which value we have to add. Suppose exocyclic double bond is there. As we know, the exocyclic means outside of the ring and sharing one carbon of the ring, that double bond. If there, then we have to add 5 nanometer as similar to the diene. Then if homocyclic diene component is there, means 2 double bonds in a same ring. If 2 double bonds conjugated in a same ring, then we have to add 39 nanometer in the base value. If extra double bond in a conjugation, that is double bond extending conjugation, then for each double bond we have to add 30 nanometer in the base value. Now we'll see the substituents. If the substituents are there, then which value we have to add. Suppose alkyl group or alkyl substituents, or we can say that a ring residue, then their positions were different. So for each positions we have to add different value. For example, R value is at alpha position, R substituent is at alpha position, then we have to add 10 nanometer. If substituent is at beta position, then we have to add 12 nanometer, and if gamma position is there, then 18. So in this way, if alkyl substituent at alpha, we have to add 10, beta we have to add 12, if gamma we have to add 18, if delta then 18. From gamma to furthermore we have to add 18, but alpha 10, beta 12 only. If OH alcohol is there, then also at alpha position we have to add 35, beta positions we have to add 30, and if gamma or further we have to add 18. OR alpha positions 35, beta positions 30, gamma positions 17, and delta position is 31. Delta position is 31. If there is ester, then alpha positions, beta positions or delta positions we have to add a 6 nanometer. If halogen, that is chlorine, is there, then if alpha position at the alpha position is there, if chlorine is at alpha positions, then we have to add 15. If chlorine is at beta positions, then we have to add 12. If Br is at alpha positions, then add 25 nanometer, at beta positions add 30. If amine group is at beta positions, add 95. So in this way, we have to choose a particular base value, basic lambda max, for the particular system. For 6-membered or acyclic enone, 250 nanometer. 5-member ketone is there, then 202 nanometer. If aldehyde is there, then the base value is 207 nanometer. And these are the additives. So these values you should remember. These values are important because we have to add these values while calculating the lambda max for the particular compound. For example, this is the first example of enone system. Suppose this is our enone system. So this is the 6-membered ring ketone. So the base value will be 215 nanometer. Base value will be 215 nanometer. Now this is for enone system. So this extra double bond is there. One ketone, one double, that is the enone system. This is the extra conjugation, extra double bond in conjugation. Then we have to add 30 for this double bond. Then is there any homocyclic? No. There is no homocyclic system is there. Then is there any exo double bond? Yes. This double bond is exo to this ring. This double bond is exo to this ring. For each exo double bond, we have to add 5. So 5. One exocyclic double bond, 5. And how many substituents are there? So this is our system. So this is R group. This is not a substituent. So forget it about this one. Then this ketone is a part of enone. So this is not an exocyclic double bond. So it should not be contained as an exocyclic double bond because this is a part of enone system. Whatever value of this one is 215, that is already considered. So don't consider this double bond as an exocyclic double bond. This is the exocyclic double bond. Then substituent. Don't consider this as a substituent because this is for ketone, enone. So this is considered already in a base value. So these are the substituents. So the one substituent at gamma position, one substituent at delta position. Gamma and delta, we have to add 18 for each. So there are two substituents gamma delta, so 18 into 2, 36. So we have to add 2 alkyl substituent gamma and delta plus 36 nanometer. So total lambda max will be 286 nanometer. And the experimental value is 287 nanometer. That is very much close to the calculated value. So in this way, again we have to see which systems are present into the molecule, and according to that take the base value and add a particular amount of nanometer to in that one. Suppose this is second example. So this is our enone system. So this is a ketone, normal ketone. So the base value is 215 nanometer. So is there any exocyclic? No, there is no exocyclic double bond. Is there any homoannular system? No, there is no any homoannular system. Is there any extra conjugation? No, there is no extra conjugation system. So now we will see the substituents. So this is one substituent. This is not a substituent. Already I told you this is the part of ketone. Okay. So this is one substituent. So this is the position is alpha. So at alpha position one substituent. So for alpha position one substituent, alkyl substituent, we have to add 10 nanometer. One alpha substituent, one ring residue, then we have to add 10. Then this is the beta carbon, and at beta position this is the substituent. In solving the example, for solving the example, we have to make a mark for the substituent. So examiner will come to know that we have find out that substituent. Then this is the beta substituent. So for beta substituent we have to add 12 nanometer. That's all. The basic, the total lambda max will be 237 nanometer. So calculated value, that is experimental value, is 232 nanometer. So in this way we have to solve the problems. Now problem number 3. Suppose this is a system. Now this is our basic enone system. So for basic enone system, this is the 6-membered ring ketone. So basic enone will be 215 nanometer. Now this is the enone. So there are two double bonds in conjugation. These are in conjugation, alternate. So we have to add for each double bond 30. So 30 plus 30, extended conjugation, we have to add 60. Then these two double bonds are present into the same ring. So this is called as homoannular ring. These two double bonds present into the same ring. So this is called as homoannular ring. And for each homoannular ring, we have to add 39 nanometer to the base value. Now is there any exocyclic? Yes, this is the exocyclic double bond. So this is exocyclic to this ring. So we have to add 5 nanometer. And which are the substituents? See, this is the alpha position, this is the beta position. So beta positions, one substituent. Gamma, delta, delta, delta. So this is one delta and one beta substituent. So first we will add for the exocyclic. Suppose beta substituent 12. We have to add 12. And this is the delta substituent 18. And one exocyclic 5. So these are the values. So in this way we have to find out each system, and for each system we have to add a particular wavelength into the base value. Then add this. So lambda max will be 349 nanometer. 349 nanometer. The experimental value is 350 nanometer. That is close to our calculated value. Now example number 5. Now see here, this is the enone system, but one difference is there. This is the 5-membered ring. If the 5-membered ring ketone is there, then we have to take a base value, that is 202 nanometer. This is the difference. We have to remember this one. If base value is 202 nanometer. Now is there any homoannular system? No, there is no homoannular system. Is there any extra conjugation? No, there is no extra conjugation. Is there any exo? Yes, there are two exocyclic double bonds. This double bond is exo to this ring also, and this double bond exo to this ring also. So we have to add 10 for this exocyclic double bond. So there are two exocyclic double bonds. We have to add 10 nanometer. Now you see the substituents. So this is the ketone. So the first carbon is alpha. For alpha substituent, we have to add 10 nanometer. Now this is the beta carbon. At beta carbon there are two substituents. So for each substituent we have to add 12 nanometer. So two substituents. So 2 into 12, you have to add 24 nanometer. Now there is no extra conjugation, no homoannular system, no any substituents. Then add these values. Those will be lambda max will be 246 nanometer, and this is our experimental value 245 nanometer. So close to that. So our calculated value must become closer to the experimental value. This experimental value will not be provided to us in examination, but what is the aim? All the factors we should write. We should write proper additive values to the base value, and then addition should be correct, and then answer will be correct. Sixth example, suppose this is the system. So this is enone system. So there is no extra conjugation. This is a 6-membered ketone. So base value is 215 nanometer, and this is the beta positions. So alpha and beta. So beta positions, there are two substituents, R substituents. So we have to add 2 into 12, that is 14 nanometer. So total value will be 239 nanometer. Experimental value is 238, so close to our answer. Now last example for this lecture. Suppose this is our enone system. So this is 6-membered ring enone system. So base value is, yes, correct, 215 nanometer. So cyclic enone basic value is 215 nanometer. Now this double bond is extra in conjugation. So extended conjugation. For each extended conjugation, extra double bond, we have to add 30 nanometer. Is there any homocyclic? No, there is no homocyclic. Is there any exocyclic double bond? Yes, this double bond is exo to this ring. So one exocyclic double bond. How many substituents? So this is alpha, beta, one beta substituent, gamma, delta, one delta substituent. So one beta substituent we have to add 12, one delta substituent we have to add 18, and one exocyclic double bond we have to add 5. So beta 12, delta 18, and exocyclic double bond 5. So there is no further additives because there is no homocyclic or no again extra double bond. This extra double bond we have already considered. Now the total lambda max will be 280 nanometer. This is close to our experimental value, that is 280 nanometer. So in this way we should practice for calculating the lambda max. Now we will move for the applications of UV visible spectroscopy. So basic application of this UV spectroscopy, UV visible spectroscopy, to deduction or to identify the structure of the molecule. So these are the physical methods to identify the structure of the molecule. So the first application is determination of the structure. So UV spectroscopy is one of the methods of studying a structure of organic compound and may be useful for determination of presence or absence of a chromophore. So chromophore, as you know, that these are the functional groups which absorb the UV radiations. So this spectroscopy gives us information about presence or absence of the chromophore. So there are steps involved in the structural determinations, like collect the informations on the compounds, determine what are the elements, what are the functional group present into that, perform qualitative analysis test, and then by using the Woodward-Pfizer rules calculate the possible lambda max wavelength for the expected chromophore and compare it with experimental value. Search for the model compound containing similar chromophore and study its absorption characteristics and compare then the spectrum unknown with that of model compound. So first take the organic qualitative test for the various elements and functional group. Then by using the Woodward-Pfizer rules calculate the lambda max, what is the possible lambda max for that particular components, and then take the UV visible spectroscopy, see the lambda max, that is matches or not, and then search for the model compounds which contain similar chromophores and study the absorption characteristics and compare the spectrum of the unknown with that of model compound. So in this way we can determine the structure of unknown substances, structure of unknown compounds. So this is the one of the application of UV visible spectroscopy. Second application is that we can determine if there are isomers, geometrical isomers. So we can identify which is the geometrical isomer in the sample. So determination of the stereochemistry, that is cis-trans compound, geometrical isomerism. Why we can differentiate the cis and trans isomers? Because a trans isomer usually have a greater lambda max and greater value of Emax, that is absorptivity, than the corresponding cis isomer. Thus, UV spectra is useful to distinguish between cis and trans isomer. Cis isomer absorbs at lower wavelength than the trans isomer due to these two reasons. So there are two reasons why this trans isomer absorbs at longer wavelength and why this cis isomer absorbs at lower wavelength. So first we'll take the example of stilbene. So first one is a cis stilbene and second example is a trans stilbene. So lambda max for the cis stilbene is 280 nanometer. For the lambda max for trans stilbene, that is 296 nanometer. So trans isomer of the stilbene absorbs at longer wavelength, that is 296 nanometer as compared to the 280 nanometer of the cis stilbene. There are two reasons. First reason is in a cis isomer, steric hindrance due to this close proximity of two ortho hydrogens, ortho substituents of this molecule disturbs the planarity of the molecule. So there is no space for these two hydrogens, so there will be the steric hindrance. So what will happen? These rings are trying to go, one ring is coming towards us and one ring is going behind us, away from the observer. So planarity of the molecule will get lost, and due to this planarity loss, there is an inhibition or restriction of the resonance. As we know that resonance increases the lambda max. So there is a inhibition of the resonance in case of cis stilbene. That's why the cis isomer absorbs at lower wavelength. So this is the first reason, because this hydrogen don't have space. इथं जागाच नाही आहे दोन हायड्रोजन, पण स्ट्रक्चर मध्येच कसे दाखवले बघा. सो काय होईल, एक रिंग पुढे येईल, एक रिंग मागे जाईल, to make a space for this two ortho substitute. So because of that one, planarity of the molecule loss, and planarity is one of the most important things for the resonance. So if planarity loss, there is an inhibition of the resonance. If resonance is lost, then it required more energy to excite this pi electron, pi to pi transitions, and lambda max will get decreased. Second reason is the length of chromophore decreases. In this situation, that demands pi to pi star transitions or excitations more energetic, and hence absorption towards the shorter wavelength is occurs. So length of the chromophore, length of the resonance. If length of the resonance is higher, then it absorbs at longer wavelength. If length of the resonance is shorter, then it absorbs at a shorter wavelength, as we studied in lecture number 3. So see here, this is the cis stilbene. The length of the chromophore is this much, and the length of trans stilbene is this much. So this is the longer resonance. The length of this chromophore is higher than this cis stilbene, and this is the reason trans stilbene is absorbed at longer wavelength as compared to the cis stilbene. So these are the two reasons. One is cis isomer has a steric hindrance. There is a loss of resonance or inhibition of the resonance that decreases the lambda max. Second reason is length of the chromophore is decreased in case of cis isomer, and that is higher in case of trans isomer. So trans isomer absorbs at longer wavelength than the cis isomer is due to these two reasons. The trans isomer molecule is a planar and there is no steric hindrance. See here, there is no steric hindrance. These hydrogens, these substituents are placed in a proper manner. So there is no steric hindrance. So planarity of the molecule will not get lost. So there will be the strong resonance and it absorbs at longer wavelength. The length of the chromophore increased. See here, this length of the chromophore is short and this length of the chromophore is long. So this situation demands the pi to pi star excitations will be less energetic. So energy gap will be less. So energy required is less, and hence absorption towards the longer wavelength. So this is the one of the application, that determination of the cis and trans isomerism. Next application is to determine the strength of hydrogen bond. The strength of hydrogen bond can be calculated by running the UV visible spectrum in different solvents like water, polar solvents, and N-hexane non-polar solvents. So this is how to calculate the strength of the hydrogen bond. We have to take the spectrum in polar solvent as well as non-polar solvents, and then compare these two absorption, and then we can calculate the strength of hydrogen bond. For example, consider this UV spectrum of acetone. So this is the acetone molecule. Acetone shows two types of transitions, that is pi to pi star transitions because pi bond is there, and N to pi star transitions because non-pair unshared electrons on the oxygens is there. If you took the spectra, UV visible spectra in N-hexane, then it absorbs at 190 nanometer because of N to pi star transition. Now same case, same acetone, same concentration, if you took the spectra in water solvent, then it absorbs at 280 nanometer. So N to pi star transitions will takes place at 280 nanometer, and wavelength we can the energy required is 226 kilocalorie per mole. While for N to pi star transitions in N-hexane, it requires 121 kilocalorie per mole. So this energy gap is due to hydrogen bonding. Due to hydrogen bonding, this water the solvent, forms a hydrogen bond with this lone pair of the oxygen. Water hydrogens forms a hydrogen bond with this oxygen, and because of that one, the N to pi star transitions will be more energetic. N to pi star transitions becomes more energetic, and so it absorbs at shorter wavelength. So this energy gap is called as strength of hydrogen bond. This energy gap is due to hydrogen bond. The strength of hydrogen bond will be 126 minus 122 kilocalorie per mole, that is 5 kilocalorie per mole. So this is the strength of hydrogen bond in case of water and acetone system. Water forms a hydrogen bond with carbonyl oxygen of the acetone, whereas in N-hexane no such hydrogen bonding is possible. Thus, the difference in the two values in water and in acetone should directly give the strength of hydrogen bonding. Friends, in this way we have learned application of Woodward-Fieser rule for the calculation of lambda max for the given compound, and we have seen the applications of UV spectroscopy. That is, first one is structure determination, second one is identification of cis and trans isomer of the alkenes, and the strength of hydrogen bonding. In this way we have completed this UV visible spectroscopy chapter. You have to make a practice for solving the problems by using Woodward-Fieser rule and calculate the lambda max value. Thank you, friends.